Good afternoon. It's time for Tech Ambassadors from the ARC Westchester. This is me. I'm Jordan Jankus, and I'm here at the ARC teaching about various types of technology and also lifelong learning, person-centered planning, a whole bunch of other things. Today, we're talking about a very, very important thing, and I've titled this session Simply Read. And that one word, read, so many people can take that for granted, but there's an awful lot of folks out there that may have had literacy skills in high school, then they move into the adult system and they're not as encouraged to read. And next thing you know, they start losing some of those skills. Even if it's as simple as picking up the local newspaper, reading the baseball scores, you're still practicing your learning and reading ability. And so it really should be encouraged because you just think of if you don't have much in the way of learning abilities, it affects you much more beyond just learning, vocationally, advocating for yourself, understanding all those things that are written about you or that are in that big black book in your group home. Reading is a very, very important skill, but it's one that needs practice. We're saying that let's provide basic readers. I'm not talking about people that are reading Dickens or James Joyce. I'm talking about basic literacy. Let's give them simple opportunities to practice this very, very precious skill. If you're in a day program, or you're working in a residential facility, or if you're a mom with your children still at home, or if you're living on your own independently, there's a lot out there that we can use. I'm going to give you two examples today, and we'll cover more in the future. This first one, Newsela, is used a lot in the school settings. You'll see that it'll ask you information about where you're coming from when you register. And I registered as the ARC Westchester when I went into it. It wants to know the educational institution. Well, folks, we have to let the world know that we are educators. Perhaps we don't have the teaching degrees everybody does in school in K to 12, but boy, what don't we do that involves education, teaching people about the world, helping them live as independently as they can. So in Newsela, every day, if you sign up, you get a little newspaper. Very, very simple newspaper. This is from an older edition, and it may talk about politics, science, cultural events, whatever. The topics vary day to day, just like your own little newspaper. The neat thing about Newsela, and by the way, what I'm showing you is all free. You can get a paid version that provides more information on like if you're a teacher in a school, how each of your students are doing. But for our purposes, let's just stick with my favorite word, free. So if you go for the free version of this, which is all on the web, so let's just take that story of the polar bear. Here's a story about scientists at work strapping a body cam to a polar bear, right? The great thing about this, you can look at this same article in 5 different ways, 5 different reading levels, from the most complicated at max all the way down to a very, very basic reading level. So that depending upon who you're dealing with, and you'll have an understanding of your students, the people that you're working with in your particular situation, you can start out at a very basic, simple level and over time escalate into higher levels to where you're basically reading at a level that would be the common newspaper level. They're interesting articles, not babyish, centered on the adult world and all that's happening in it. So it's interesting. If you put this up on a smart board or a smart TV, any kind of projection system, and have people take turns at trying to read it. And people should be encouraged to practice, even if it takes them a long time to read that one sentence. Give them the opportunity because they should keep learning. They should develop their skills as best as possible. Now, another resource, again, this is web-based. This has been around for a while. I don't know if any of you have tried it before, but out of North Carolina comes Tar Heel Reader. And this is a site where you can read books that have been created or even create your own. They're very, very simple books. You can post this without any cost. You can create your own story and post it to the site. Other people can read it. They all have very simple verbal content, a lot of visuals, and it's free. And there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of stories, simple book stories. And when I'm saying a book, I'm talking about 6 to 8 pages. They're not long stories, but they're great practice vehicles. What may take you a little time is finding something that's appropriate. There's a lot of stuff that is focused on the younger student, but also you have to search for them a bit, but there are things that are adult appropriate. And another great thing on this, you can add reading voices, child, woman, man, and have it read to you and watch it as you go along, which could really reinforce your learning to read a book. And I'll give you an example of one. This is one that is on veterinarians. Any of you that have worked in vocational services know that there are a lot of folks out there that would like to help a veterinarian. They love animals in many cases. So what does a veterinarian do? So this is the title page of this book, and the next page is a simple explanation of veterinarians are doctors who care for animals. And it goes on and on. You can go back, revisit this page, go forward. But as you'll see, they're very clean, very simple examples, and they're great for people just to learn about things, practice their learning, and if you did something like have a class get together and say, what are they like? Maybe they want to write something about the WWE. Okay, I don't care what it is, but that'll help their writing skills and also somebody else's reading skills. Get them all together and write about it, or a famous rock star, whatever topic interests them. It doesn't have to be complicated. All you need are a couple of pictures, a couple of simple words, and then you could post it on a Tar Heel Reader. And next thing you know, you're not only a reader, you are a publisher. How cool is that? That's great. So this is another example of the stuff that's out here. Just 2 items. Okay, Newsela and also Tar Heel Reader. It's important to keep people learning about life, and without a reading ability, it becomes all the more difficult. So I'd appreciate it if you could try these out with the people that you serve, see how it goes. Everybody should be in the tech world. It should be as much of a right for all of us as the rights under the ADA. We got curb cuts. Let's hope we can get tech cuts.